Bien, vamos a entrar
Now
a la...
we are going to go to the fourth and last presentation of this afternoon. We think that the subjects have been tremendously interactive. We have been receiving a lot of questions from other presentations, so we are going to answer all of the people who have sent us their questions. So we thank you so much for this. We want to remind you also that during this presentation, you can write your questions throughout all the presentation through the chat that you see on your screen, so that at the end, both experts can give an answer to your questions. So now we're going to go to the next presentation, because the diversification of this nutritional advances and the companies that are linked to this, which is very fundamental to be able to advance in this sector, so we can feel that there are goals or changes that we can see. For this, the doctors, Marcelo Sheihing, who is this under somebody sales management department, and Felipe and Pino, who's in charge of innovation of the Guy commercial. We're going to talk about the rearing of dairy milk calves, sustainability and efficiency. We wish you the best of luck, and you may begin with your presentation. Hello, Veronica. Hello, everyone who is listening to this seminar. We want to thank you so much for the invitation of yours and the Meat Corporation to be able to participate in this event. We are together, we're going to do this presentation with Dr. Felipe Pino, who belongs to Guy, to be able to divide it or be able to share it in the technical part and the commercial part. Guy has around 2.5 years working intensely and developing a line of products which favor the development and the growth and the stability of the results of rearing dairy cows. Under this perspective, not only working in the males and the females, is that we built this presentation. What are some of the objectives? Our objective is to rear ruminant calves that are efficient at 45 days of life based on consuming power calf, which is a feed which is designed and developed by us. This will go together with the maximizing the efficiency of the growth. The first period is the hardest, the most expensive, and the most complex that we have to face. And our solution, what we are proposing, is to simplify a little bit this reality in such a way that the big results or the big benefits we get in the second part of our rearing. During this time, we have some are being grown better and without losing weight. Let's see a little bit, what is power calf? Power calf, or it's a system that is using concentrated. That's why the power calf, and it's concentrate that is used for the grow later, which is called power growth. This stimulates the ruminal development for improving the initial growth index with very inferior consumption of the milk diet. So this way we can improve the index growth, and we can ensure a weight gain which is very homogeneous after they have been weaned, to avoid the lost weight and to have a live weight around 100 kilograms in less than 100 days. So therefore we have a weight gain which is very high in the males, and in the later part of the growth will be very efficient in these animals, and thus we can have a homogeneous growth which will allow them to develop homogeneously in the muscles and in the bones, and thus we can have animals that will be finished in a very short period of time, which would allow the males to arrive on growth for them to be slaughtered. And also we have used over 20,000 of the rearing of these calves will be able to have an efficient coverage of 13 to 14 months. What are we saying? What are our customers saying? What has caused the power calf in their system? First of all, there was an improvement in the initial consumption or ingestion. It is formulated to attract the calf in a very easy way in comparative to other concentrate. At least in the first week of life, it has been double of what is occurring traditionally. Also, we have a better intestinal health due to the formula or the additives that the power calf has. It stimulates the segregation of the mucus in the intestines, so we make it be less bearable, so we're not producing diarrhea. The other thing has to do with the growth weight, which is notoriously better. Mainly, we are focused in the development of the rumen at the very early stage. The additives that we're using are focused in this area mainly, which is going to allow us to have a rumen which is the better composition to be able to absorb the nutrients at a very early age. Also, we have, thanks to the better development of the rumen and the intestinal health, very low mortality in the rearing stage. Even in the farms where the mortality is low, we can even reduce it even more, at least down to half. We have a better immune condition because of the incidence of the diarrhea, and also it's a whole lot less, and also a better muscular development in the calves, which can also be seen because of the consequences of a good nutrition and a better hair. All of this all these characteristics means that we can have a rearing and a weaning system at a very early stage, and we can have a higher rotation of calves, or the farmers can use less time in the nursery and they can raise more animals on the same surface. With this, also we have less expenses in the treatments that would be in a traditional way. Power calf is based on the early ruminal development, how to go from 42 days of a very smooth ruminal without any folds, with the rumen which is completely developed, where this allows this calf in a definite way, take him away from the milk without having any loss in the corporal condition, since the rumen has the capacity of absorbing the nutrients. This is where we have a conjunction of the water, which is important from the calf from the day one, versus the ruminal bacteria that the cow transfers to the calf at the moment of calving, and the concentrate of power calf. This technology makes it possible that we can begin a development of ruminal fermentation. And mainly what we have done is developed a technological concentration which stimulates the papilla, the folds of this. What it does then, together with the propionate and the butyrate that is in the milk or the colostrum of the cow, plus we're using the additives of power calf. This stimulates what has to do with the synthesis of the DNA and the RNA, which is stimulating the multiplication of the epithelial cells. There is a lot of investigation which is proving this fact. So therefore, this triology of power calf plus the bacteria from the cow and the water makes this ruminal fermentation begin to develop, mainly because of the absorption on the wall of the rumen of the volatile grassy fatty acids. And this makes this fatty acids and the volatile fatty acids also has an effect on the intestines, improving the development of the digestion tract by a better absorption of the nutrients. What we can see in the calves that have been sacrificed because of a fracture of 45 days, we see a rumen that has been totally developed, and you can see all of the folds in the rumen very well developed. And you can see in the meat system, these have been weaned at 45 days, where their death was at 90 days, but they have a rumen that has been totally developed. This died all of a sudden. And this rumen assures us that the animal that is having a very good nutrition through the rumen, so therefore it's the feeding of the rumen. He was out on the pasture at 90 days, weaned at 45 days, and he did not have any kind of problems. It was just a sudden death, but his diet was based on the pasturing system and supplementation of growth, which is the power calf. If we value our traditional breeding or rearing with more or less milk, what we can observe here is that the nutritional requirements in the calves are higher in the first stage. So if we use 4 liters of milk, we can cover the nutritional requirements until the second or third week. If we use a more traditional, which is based on 6 liters of milk, the nutritional offer will vary. When we are using 4 liters of milk, and the calf is we are covering the nutritional requirements until second week of life. After this, the need to cover his requirements will stimulate the consumption of dry feed, and this way he can gain weight. In a 6 liter of milk during the period of covering the nutritional requirements can be higher than the amount of week, making this requirement be covered at least until the 4th week. So what they consume, the concentration is very low. And after the 4th week of work, makes the consumption be higher. The resume a power calf, which is the blue line, they start eating it, and the traditional concentration, they start being higher after the 2nd week. What is this implying? That the calf who is eating 4 liters versus 6 liters, the one of 6 liter has less time to eat the concentration. So therefore, the effect of the ruminal development will be less than the calf who has used more, eating biggest amounts of concentration. So therefore, the rumen development will be much better. What causes this? If we evaluate the daily balance of weight, you can see that the calves who have a milk diet, which is higher, the comparison is the 6 liters, might have a weight gain at the beginning of the rearing, but in the case of the calves that are using the power calf as the initial rearing diet, the consuming of the dry matter will be balanced off immediately. In fact, it surpasses a calf who has been drinking 6 liters of milk. What's the big advantage or the efficiency of our system? Is that this calf, which is consuming 4 liters of milk and eating the power calf as much as he wants, so he has a very well-developed rumen at 45 or 60 days. At the moment of cutting off his, or being weaned, the loss of body weight will be minimum. And what we have seen in our registers is that all of the calves that have been weaned have an increase of weight because he has been a substitute of the diet, because he has been eating dry matter. That's why the weight after the weaning will not be affected. In fact, it will increase. The calf that is drinking 6 liters of milk, you will see that he will drop a little bit his weight at the moment he'll be weaned, because a lot of part that he has been comes from the milk diet, and he's not used to having this much of concentration. So at the moment that he is weaned, he will see that how that the weight gain has dropped and a decrease in the body condition. And so at this time, this will directly affect the immune system. That is why those who have a traditional rearing or the rumen has not been prepared at the moment he is weaned will have a higher incidence of pneumonia and problem coccyx, and also community diseases like the fungus and the problem of the papillomatosis. What's the importance of this? The importance of this is that the development of the muscular cells in the meat cows start at the moment of conception, especially in the last quarter of the conception, which is called the primary myogenesis, when they are developing the muscles. But after they calved, the secondary will be the multiplication of the muscular cells, and this is dependent on the nutritional condition. So restricting nutrients after the post-weaning will decrease greatly the development of the muscle cells. In this case, the restriction of the nutrients are going to in the secondary of the myogenesis, which is going to decrease the amount of muscular fibers. So he's going to have less muscle cells. And this at a long time is going to reduce the muscle mass that he has at the moment he is at the young growth. On the other hand, the primary myogenesis start at the 4-6 months of life together with the muscular hypertrophy. At the moment of weaning, it will affect the multiplication of the muscle cells, the hypertrophy of the muscle cells, and also the multiplication of the adiposes, which will all be affected which will affect the calf at the moment of the ongrowth. So the amount of nutrients is going to reduce the amount of muscles and also reduce the amount of fatty cells, and also it will affect. And some of the results that we have had in the rearing system of the dairy males, we can see that in traditional systems which were being used based on 6 liters of milk and 90 rearing days with a high concentration, which was what we used in trying to increase them to use more milk to improve the growth of the animals. We can see that at the 90 days average, they were able to have a weight of a daily weight gain of 117. But in our system, we reduced the amount of milk at 4 liters a day and reduced the amount of days of milk with only 45 days of milk with a concentration a lot less, which makes that at the 92 days, the weight gains were practically about the same. And we had a daily weight gain of 0.7038 grams. So therefore, the double amount of days on the milk and almost double difference of the substitute did not justify the difference of weight gain or the final weight during this period. So therefore, in the rearing system of power calf, we use 72.4 less percentage of less milk to be able to have the very similar results. If we evaluate this to the economy, we can say that this system of 90 days in comparison with 142 of substitute would have a cost of milk of 64,000 pesos milk. Of 42,000 pesos, which is the rearing cost at that moment. At the moment of weaning was 181,000 based on the feed. But if we compare this to our numbers with our suggestion with 45 days with 130 grams, we can see that the reduction of the milk is a whole lot more. You're only spending 38,000 pesos, and they have a concentration of the power calf around 26,000 pesos, which costs a cost of feed of 93,000 pesos. If we complemented this with the 30 days that we need to level off the 90 days with the concentration of the growth, we can see that the total cost of rearing is 88,000 pesos, which makes a huge difference, being a whole lot more cheaper than rearing with power calf. In this, we can see this system with the weaned calves. After 40 days, they go out in the pasturing system and they can feed themselves based on forage. They can consume dry matter. And you can see that they were eating in the first days of pasturing. So these are animals that have this rumen totally developed, and they can go out and eat in the pasture and maintain a stable daily weight gain based on the forage. According to these parameters that we were noticing, we have been able to build these charts according to the results out on the different farms. The truth is, with everything that we have been able to work with and everything that we've been able to build up to this moment, to be able to have the rearing be economical or cheap is not very easy. We have not been able to achieve it yet. But it can be magnified of the efficiency that you can achieve with these programs. I think that me and Camila also contributed a lot with the efficiency. and that we are all focused and giving the same solution to the producer. The efficiency is the final results of that we can improve and maintain these male calves inside of our farm. An analysis that we did together with a customer who took a group of calves in the rearing, starting from the beginning till the end, we could find the numbers that you see. And the first, starting from the weaning, when they were weaned, with hay plus 2 kilograms of concentrating, he gained with about approximately 100 kilograms. After the weaning, in the spring, summer, with the pasturing and 2 kilograms of concentrate, the daily growth was over 800 grams, with at the end 104 kilos. At the moment of rearing, between 650 to 700 kilograms per day, 510 days accumulated. And on the finishing, the on-growth, the animals were at 560 with a gain of, with an age of 20.5 to 22 months. The efficiency is there, you can see it. Function on the fact that we can close down the time and we can have more animals inside of this on the same surface. These are the calves that were reared with Powercraft and reared in Frutillar, where in general, what we can see here, there's a muscle development on the loins. These are tubular calves that can absorb in the ruminal. So we do not see them with big bellies, but they see them like tubes with a very good development of the muscles on the tail side. We try to give them a value to each one of the stages. How much does each one of the stages cost us? In a traditional system, between the 0 to 6 months, the cost is approximately 183,000 pesos. We included everything that is necessary to do in that stage. The weight in a traditional system is around 130 kilograms, and the cost per kilogram is 1,408 pesos. Between the 7 and 12 months, 1,067, but now we have it here, and we're just recently at 200 kilograms. We're losing efficiency. We're at the 21 months with 380 kilograms with 1,647 pesos per kilogram. And at 500 kilograms, fat or pre-fat at 22 to 30 months, with the cost of 2,818 pesos per kilogram. So this animal at the complete stage have 1,785 pesos per kilogram that he was raised, so that he can leave the farm in 30 months. What we are proposing is that the same calf between the 0 and 6 months, in our model, we can have a cost of 1,000 pesos per kilogram and finish with, and at 7 to 12 months with the weight gain of 275 kilograms at 917 pesos per kilogram, and 13 to 21 months versus that this is where we are giving you the efficiency, and we'll have 1,317 pesos per kilogram. So the potential regarding the prices that we have today is spectacular. But in normal conditions, with a pasturing system or an agro basis on an ensilage or good quality hay, we could have done it the same way, and we can have very good profit for the farmer. It's true that there is a complication. There is a point where there is no availability of pasturings, but starting from the efficiency is where we can generate these spaces and have an interesting business for the producer. It's very important to mention we usually use the rearing concentration remaining in 3 months after the weaning. but we want to supplement this for 6 months. And instead of using the double time to have the amount of concentration, which would be a traditional system, the cost of kilo is a whole lot more economical due to the efficiency that we are causing in these animals.
Bien.
En esta lámina,
In this slide, we continue with the same subject. What happens with a farmer who sells his calf at less than 180 kilos? He had this price at 1,310 and a potential sale price. It's very difficult. Veronica mentioned it not too long ago. The fairs or the angro, which defines the price of this calf, and normally they have negative margins. To come with a calf of 200 kilograms, having a profit is very difficult. In a traditional system, in a rearing, to have 350 kilogram calf, that calf with 350 kilograms can have a profit because it has a better value. And on the angro, this animal is sure. And any other systems, he's going to leave you some money. But the idea is to maximize the profit. This same cost, we built it on our system of rearing. And if you can see, the breeder can have, with 200 kilograms, can have 30 pesos of profit. And the rearing can have almost 262. And in the angro, you can have a margin of 609,000 pesos. In the complete period, that steer can leave 241,000 pesos in profit. Now, the bet are diverse.
No es fácil pedirle a un lechero.
It's not easy to ask a dairy producer to retain 100% of his males and not raise them or rear them. So we need to generate spaces where other producers, medium size, which is reliable and efficient, can develop different kind of business niches. And there we have the possibility of rearing these calves of 120 kilograms of the live weight for 100 days. And this little calf is not going to occupy a lot of the space out on the field. Quickly, it will leave it. The rearing will have a very efficient ruminant calf, and it will be more economical. What should we do? What should we manage? What do we have as our
La cadena completa, es desarrollar la demanda.
The whole value chain. That the customer can have the resources and the trust that he will be well raised to be able to have evidence of this. Another alternative, to take this calf to the 350 kilograms live weight. At that age, then he will pay his costs. There is a market for this kind of animal, of course. And today, you can count on that. It will be available to be sold at 12 to 24 months. What is happening in the traditional system is this calf can have 12 to 14 months of life. That doesn't mean he's young anymore. Another complicated issue, because there's very little space on the fields of the dairy farms, and it depends on the reality of the purchase.
En un sistema de
and in a high intense system, we can have this same animal, 520 kilograms, where the market exists, of course. The margin is assured, and we can make sure of having more kilograms sold at a lesser time. What happens in a traditional system, this can have 24 to 20. That steer would have taken longer, so the time that they're out on the field, is a distracting factor in which dirties up the numbers of these models. Now there's something that we can say to this inside of this field associated to the rearing system like this and having some more reduced space. The rearing of calves, we put a fat calf can be an interesting alternative. To be able to have some calves that we can sell between 8 and 10 months with a high consuming diet with the weight of 320 to 350 live weight. This would be tender meat, very juicy meat where we need very small surface. This might be a very interesting alternative. We have seen some trials that were done with some of the advisors in Los Angeles region, and we have seen that the cuts have nothing to envy for an Angus steer or a steer of 550 or 500 kilograms without any problem. But there are some subjects that we still need to face as the food chain, which are mainly these are, since you're a smaller animal, these cuts will be smaller, pieces will be smaller. So we need to develop some kind of brand or market that would be a little bit different. The availability of roofs and the availability of food. This is an alternative. This is a proposal to all of the rearers, those who are going to rear these animals. In fact, I think that this could be a very good alternative to be able to recover these male calves. So we thank you so much. This is what we wanted to tell you. This is something that we see better results, and this is what we wanted to share with you.
Felipe, Marcelo.
Thank you so much. There are some questions. How many days can I give power calf to the calves? In the male system, we use the concentrate until 60 days, having a weaning at 45 days. They can eat after the weaning, it's free. They can use it at 45 days, between 2.2 to 8.5 kilograms of concentrate. And after this, it will depend on what's the purpose of the rearing. Like Marcelo said, where we want to go, we can do a rearing with a limited concentration based on 2 kilograms and use mainly the pasturing system that the farmer might have, or in the winter time, we can keep them closed in with a dry grass, but that the calf will have the nutrition because of the fermentation of the forage, or we can put on the accelerator and increase this concentrate and increase the growth until 3 or 4 kilograms, depending on the gain that we want to have. In fact, it can be free if they can eat as much as they want. Thank you very much. Yvonne Davis is asking availability and price of the concentration. Thank you very much. As you can see on the chart, the concentration will be around 400 pesos at the beginning and 350. The truth is, the savings in the diet of the milk, which is the most expensive, allows the concentrate to cost up to 500, 600 pesos. And even then, this will allow you to save economic of the growth. A day with one is around 3,000 pesos per animal. So every day that you are saving the milk is a lot of money. So therefore, the truth is, when you put this on the economical analysis, it's irrelevant when it comes to how much you're reducing of the days of milk with these calves. Also, we need to add to this, we must say that the health that we obtain in supplementing these calves based on concentration and less days with milk is very, very important. It's very, very affordable that we here in Likrai can present to the producers and say that in a short time you will see evident characteristics of efficiency.
Muchas gracias. Por acá hay otra consulta. ¿Se requiere algún tipo de infraestructura?
Does it require some kind of special infrastructure, or do the animals can go quickly from the a free style out on the pasturing system? The truth is we have seen all kinds of realities. Calves with good quality, with a lot of technology and very well built, to very basic systems. Systems where the male or the female are leaving at 20 days in the winter to the paddocks where they only have a roof to protect themselves. So therefore, there is a minimum of hygiene. There's a minimum of lighting, of wind, orientation. But in general, the fields that we have visited today, the farms that we have visited with division, the results are very stable. So you can fix them on different systems. It's not just the enclosed, but it can also complement it with out on the field. The system that we have talked about before, where we use it the most in the southern section, where the calf is in mostly in the confined areas, and then it goes out around 60 days, 70 days, or 75 days out to the pasture. This system has evolved and has worked very, very well, and we have evaluated very well. But we have another system where the calf will remain in their initial infrastructure, especially the winter time, which is confined, and the results are even better. The great trial shows that the system we have proven in the southern central down to Puerto Montt, the results are very, very similar in both systems. In the confined system, like in the north, or in the pasturing system as it occurs here in the south of Chile.
Hay otra consulta relacionada con en los estudios que ustedes han realizado como empresa. ¿Perciben diferencias entre
You can see some differences between the weight gain of the calves, which were with the power calf systems, and those that were done in the spring and the ones that are raised in the fall? The truth is, in the second stages, maybe we'll find some differences because the availability of food is different. But in the initial stages, practically we don't see it. Our work is more oriented not only the fall calves and the spring calves, whether males or females can come up to can have the very same conditions afterwards. Thank you so much. This has been very, very complete, your presentation that you brought to us today. We are going to generate a conversation at the end to see if there's any other question that someone might have. You now have the opportunity to write them. If not, then we will close. However, maybe it would be interesting to state in the later, after they have been weaned, what is the average weight gain that you have seen or estimated for this stage? One of the things that for us we have seen over and over is that with this system, once they have been weaned and we avoid them from losing their weight, normally what we have seen is that the weight gain is higher once we take away the milk. Their rumen condition is in such good that they're not interested in their milk and they prefer eating the concentrate and dry grass than to drink milk. So this makes that once we substitute or we cut the milk, we decrease dramatically the calf that is are crying out for milk. So what we do see is that
limitado a 2,5 kilos de
limited to 2.5 of concentration. It will fluctuate between 180 and a kilo. It depends on the quality of the forage, and also if they're out on the pasturing or if they go outside to pasture directly during this, depending on the time of the year. But we do have a system currently where they're going out to the pasturing in the winter, and we're still over 800 grams per day. The same thing happens in the winter and the summer with very good pasturing. We have very over a kilo of weight gain per day. Thank you so much. What do you consider to come to a 3,000 peso milk diet? Mainly, there are substitutes, 1,400 per kilo, where we are evaluating. Majority of the substitutes today are very homogeneous quality. Maybe before we would have a high variety, but today the variety is not so important or not so big. And the truth is more than 540 grams of eating per day makes that the cost of milk be almost 800 grams a day. And the system where they consume most milk, the price will increase. It depends on the concentration of the milk diet where the system is inversed. A half a kilogram of substitute around 800 pesos. It depends on how many liters they are drinking in the traditional system, which is traditionally around 6 liters for a long period of time, over 60 days in some cases. Horacio Pavresto is asking, see how there's so many questions are coming. The 40 days of the milk diet, is there any kind of characteristics of the substitute that is being used? Because of a nutritional issue, we opted that hopefully it will be a substitute that doesn't have more than 18% of fat. The fat generates an inhibition in the brain and it stimulates the satiety center. So all of the substitutes with 18% of fat, we can see, and it has been documented, that eating the dry matter will be a whole lot less. In fact, in the systems in the United States, where they are weaned at 75 days, they are trying to the use of a substitute with less than 16% of fat. So less diet, less fat, less in the substitute, less will be the stimulus for the dry matter. So we want to increase how much they consume to develop the room, and we hope that it doesn't have 18% of fat. If you're using discarded milk, it might be a little diluted or reduce the amount we have done in weaning of 3 kilograms or 2 liters per day, which is also an alternative for the future market. We must not forget that the portions are incorporating jerseys in their systems. So therefore, we have to be responsible of what's going to happen to those animals. So when we have a calf that is smaller, you can use a lower conversion rate, and we have done it efficiently in a few days. Maria Eugenia asks, do you consider the water should be consumed during the milk? Yes, from day one, starting from day one. That is not negotiable. The water is in the concentrated food should be present with the calf starting from day one. And what we do is that they need to get used to this knowledge and everything, all of these additives and inputs that the feed has should attract the calf and make it remember part of the smell of the colostrum of the cow that the concentration has. The water and the concentration inside of this rearing power calf system is not negotiable. It has to be from day one. It's fundamental to be able to add to this. We need to multiply the ruminal bacteria. And there is something that we need to precise that I did not say at the beginning of my presentation, that it is fundamental in the rearing producer is that they present the concentration to this calf so that he knows that what he has in front of him is feed, because his system does not come with this dry matter. So these little grains that he sees during the first days of life, together with the water, is going to make the ruminal ecosystem begins to develop. There is proof says that without water, you are delaying at least 10 to 15 days the development of the rumen. So it's fundamental, the use of water. Claudio Valenzuela is asking this. Is it applicable to the family farms where they can receive 2 to 5 calves per family? Yes, the truth is there is no minimum to be able to do it. You can do it with the individual rearing if you have a couple of calves, or you can do groups some calves as they are born. What's important is to try from the point of view of efficiency to try to determine what is the age of each calf so that the costs will be profitable for the producer, and it has to be according to the age. But it does not have to be a massive production. Today we have some calf rearers with 60 or 80, and they're having calving all year round. And they are rearing 2 to 4 or 5 in spring, and that fall a little bit less, and some that have 1,200 calves, males or females, on their rearing. So it's completely applicable. What's the beautiful about this is that we are working, we are bidding with a better efficiency of their system. The milk that they are producing, that they sell, or they can make into one of their products of the milk and not give it to the calves. The more you give to the calf, the less efficient they are. Thank you so much for the answers. They were very complete answers. We don't see more questions, so I still think the data we have there are your personal information. I'm sure the producers have any kind of questions can get direct contact with you. Remember that the presentations will be on the platform and also the virtual platform, and we will also in the Meet Corporation. We can also give you the date, put you in contact with each one of the speakers in case there's someone who is interested. Thank you very much, Veronica, for the opportunity that you gave us through the cooperation of FISUR. Thank you, FISUR, for once again being present in the field. And we hope that all of this event and very advantageous for all of us. I want to say goodbye. Don't be afraid to get in contact with us. We have this system very well proven, so therefore we can complement it with what they are doing, and we can achieve great benefits throughout the rearing period. So this is an alternative that we have for rearing the dairy male calves. Thank you so much for the invitation. Thank you to you, and we will be in contact to be able to do some kind of things together, work together, and to generate these kind of activities which are very positive for the livestock area. Now you are free to go on. We are going to do the closing of this activity. This has been very intense with a very sensitive area, which is the rearing of the dairy calves. It's a segment that has been increasing, especially in Los Lagos and Los Rios area. Since the dairy farming is growing more and more every day. And in general, what we can say, we had done this very same seminar about 5-7 years ago. We would have had a whole lot more pain than results to show, because there's a lot of learning that we have to do, not only in Chile.
Tienen una vinculación fuerte con el sector lácteo, principalmente Europa, Estados Unidos, la verdad es que los problemas son muy similares y
results are very similar, and it's not always the advances that we have had in other parts are this so developed. They are all trying to make a road or make a route, but it's full of challenges and that we need to face because you are joining two different productions, which is the dairy, which is what, and the meat, and each time needs to be able to capture these animals and to be able to give them a place inside of the meat chain, and which is adjusted to the animal welfare, to have a proper nutrition, something that can really be practical inside of the meat production. So today, and I say as a general of the meat corporation, I'm very proud in spite of all of the technical problems we had at the very beginning, and we are very thankful with Sago to give us this space that after so much time that we've been quiet, when you talk about diffusing knowledge, it's very valuable that today you were able to have different presentations talking about different areas, and you can see that Chile is advancing. So let's value the advances that we have in our country. Applied research in the universities and also the producers in the nutrition and the agro with data that we are very proud to present even internationally, with the possibility of offering right now alternatives that we know are we have to adopt little by little. We know that the livestock cycle is very long, but for the dairy production, we also have a whole lot more assurance in the possibility of taking some genetic lines so that these calves that are not going to be part of the dairy herd, they can have a better performance until they get to the end. I think that these are signs that we are being successful at this moment, and we are very pleased that during this seminar we were able to see it. And finally, the two alternatives that we were able to diffuse today. Not only the project of the regional government from Los Lagos with this project, which allows us to give hand in hand to the family farming so they can be integrate themselves in these farms so that they can have these business units, maybe a lot more active with more livestock cycles of rearing these little calves, and also the private area. We need to value this a lot. Seeing this need, the private sector has defined that they're going to generate some business models to be able to incorporate and to give service to stabilize the producers who are interested in this area. So therefore, we think that today we complied with what we wanted to do. We were able to know some markets. We know that the meat has potential in the future. So we have a very different situation than what we had a couple of years ago. And we are very satisfied with what happened today. Congratulate and thank all of the speakers who have been with us today. It shows the value that this corporation, the meat corporation, has with their partners, where we have been able to have and be able to develop areas for the common good. We want to invite you for Tuesday, the 13th of July, where we're going to have very interesting blocks, which are totally different, open to the public in general, especially the one in the morning. We're going to have the participation of the Scottish. They're going to present some work that they have in the environment. Don't forget that they are also E26 in Glasgow. So the whole world is placed on the cattle in a very sensitive subject. We know there's a lot of detractors in the meat production, and they have had a very interesting and the steps that have been able to take in Europe, where there is a lot of concern about this. The other issue that we were talking about today, we also want to thank very much their president, who has been with us, about the tendencies of consuming, of how we can generate a virtuous cycle of information on the red meat and the tendencies and other feeding alternatives for the consumers, which also we can make it better. India will also be involved with everything that has to do with the information of capturing. We also have a system that is a lot better than what we could suppose. And we're going to have an economical sustainability.
Nacional del SAC, que va a entregar información que me parece va a ser muy, muy interesante para los productores sobre los cambios que vienen o de la
We're going to talk about the changes or the modernization and the changes that are being generated in the social with Italy that our president talked about this morning, and the traceability. And 2 experts from Uruguay and also from Argentina. Each one of them will present in a very updated way the situation that they have in regards of their meat trading and of this internal situation in their countries, to be able to project what's going to occur with 2 meat producers, which are very powerful, which has an impact on the business in general of the products that we are also trying to develop. So you are cordially invited, always going through this link. So we thank you so much to each one of you for being with us today, and we hope we can see you on Tuesday the 13th, and we'll see you next week. Thank you so much.